And roll tide, everybody. Welcome back to Tight Sports. Look at those sad, sorry cuss up there. Tide came in, done washed the doggone Missouri Tigers down the drain, left them dehydrated. That is ridiculous. Let's get to the press conferences for this week. It is Tennessee hate week. No smiles for the whole week. Nothing but serious business. They low down. They dirty. They cheat us. And it's just up to no good all the time. I think first up is Coach DeBoer. Look at that. Tiger just dehydrated. God, emaciated. How could you, Coach DeBoer?
Good morning. Just recapping Missouri. Proud of the fight of these guys, and it's not just the last 3 weeks; it's the last really 5-6 weeks since we dropped week one, and just the resiliency these guys have, and it's in games, and it's just them just sticking together. They're playing for each other. Just got to keep it rolling. It doesn't happen on its own. It happens through hard work. It happens through building trust and belief through practice and great habits there, and it's carrying over to the football field. Helping us find ways to win when it matters most. And so team football, I think, probably some of the best team football stacking weeks on top of each other that I've ever been a part of. It's not perfect. You guys see that, but it's team. It's a team sticking together. It's a team covered for each other. Doing some of the things that we couldn't do a year ago. One side of the ball coming through, getting points on the board. The other side getting a stop, 3 and out. Changing field position that way. Kicks when we need it. Pinning teams back inside their own 20 in different games. Just playing team football, and that's what matters right now. So I think there's a toughness that we have, and we talk about toughness wins. That's mental, physical, to emotional toughness. I think proud of the way our guys, turnover wise, continue to win that battle each and every week. We're winning the time of possession. We took I think, we didn't shut them down, but we took a lot of the things that Missouri did well and flipped the script on that from a time of possession standpoint and kept them from being able to have as many plays as they'd like to be able to continue to hammer away with their run game. That's team football right there. And then I think the penalties too, just, I'm not afraid to talk about it with all those things because it happens through work. You create your own luck. You create your own breaks. Could used a few more breaks when the ball was on the ground. Those will fall in our hands as long as we continue to hustle and get to it. But now the whole thing is about sustaining the energy because each week, right? Each week has been stacked on top of itself, and these guys have been bringing it at a high level in practice. And get a great opponent with Tennessee coming in here this weekend. Understand the rivalry, and it's a lot of fun for our fans, and it goes back obviously generations. We understand how big of a deal this game is to them. We understand how big of a deal this game is to us right now in the season that we're in, and that's what we're focused on. But Coach Heupel, nothing but the utmost respect for him and his staff, just what they're doing, what he's done. Tennessee, his coaching career, an outstanding coach, great football mind. You can see it on the football field. You can see the culture that they've built there too, and looking forward to a great game. We need our fans loud, extremely loud. We need an environment, that's the best in the country here this weekend. Again, we're playing for a lot each week, and we appreciate the support we get. Our players feel the energy and feed off of it. So,
thanks, Coach. Start with Charlie on the right.
Yeah, it's time to have fun, Tennessee. Don't you want to come to the capstone and have some fun? Football is fun. Come on down. I hope you enjoy yourself.
Coach, I was going to see if you had an update on some of the guys that popped up on the availability report last week. That's Jalen Hale, Jalen Mbakwe, and Caden Jones.
Jalen's been sick. Jalen Hale's been sick. That was the reason why he last minute got put on the report. Who else?
Jalen Mbakwe and Caden Jones.
Bach had a hand injury in practice last week, and He'll be back out there practicing, and we'll see kind of as the week goes on how he goes there. Obviously, he plays receiver, so that affects you a little bit. But there's other things he can do for our football team, and he's in great spirits, and so he'll go through that. Jam, and Derek will both be going through their protocol this week.
Jam.
I hit it on everyone.
Jam.
Caden Jones, he had to have surgery on an ankle injury, and so he'll be down for a little while.
Folks, we are taking a massive amount of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Next man up mentality, but at a certain point, there's 3 linemen, 2 Quay Russo, depending on how you look at it. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Got to persevere, though.
Far left, Chase.
After the game, Ty said that he missed a lot of protection checks against Missouri. Is that ultimately completely his responsibility, or does some of that fall on Parker also?
A lot of how we orchestrate it, I think, is pretty easy to see from a football mind. Just that, it starts with Parker getting things started, but Ty overrides everything. Ty makes he can see the big picture and knows really what he wants to get to. And so in the end, the quarterback, whether it's a turnover, and it's not his fault, it still falls on his shoulders, the protection checks. And so Ty, he holds himself to such a high level. He's going to take accountability for all of that. He's the one that needs to declare if something's not right or what he feels comfortable with, getting us into that protection. So we ask a lot out of him. He asks a lot of himself. And it doesn't surprise me that he holds himself accountable for all of that.
Let's go to Nick on the far right here.
Yeah, kind of the weekly Caden Proctor question about the latest use of him. What did you see in that play, and kind of a unique setup with Parker being on the very edge of the line, snapping it backward like that? Just kind of what goes into that working?
Yeah, I just think, Ryan Grubb and our offensive staff doing a great job, not just with that play, but everything we're doing, continue to force the issue, have creativity, force defenses to have to think about what's next, whether it's with that package or other things that we do. We're using it in big moments, it's something that we feel isn't just this exhibition, it's something where we feel like KP can do some things, and there's a positive in a way where we can, gain yards in critical moments with him. So there's a trust that we have in him. So again, I think just in general, Ryan Grubb just doing a great job, continuing to push the envelope for our whole offense to continue to attack teams in different ways. People always think attack vertically in the passing game, but there's other ways to attack people, and do it in those moments. It's great to see our guys execute and do a good job.
I'm good on Caden Proctor running the ball. Would love to see some of the freshmen 300-pounders just line up at fullback and let's blow through some people. Don't have to see Caden Proctor. He is 360 pounds, but he's not 360 pounds right at the joint of his knees. He's not 360 pounds at the joint of his ankle. it's nice. It's 3 weeks in a row. Things are getting more crucial now. We cannot stand to lose him. You got think about 75. Somewhere between 65 75 offensive snaps every game. But when he runs the football, he's taking about 5 extra quality hits on those plays. So, hey, is there a sophomore that weighs 300 pounds? Most of them guys run under 5'2". We could have an elephant rotation, but I don't need to see Caden Proctor. Y'all remember when he hurt himself in pregame? And it lingered on to this. He didn't practice this spring, and most of the summer he missed. Hello. See all the injuries on the other side of the ball? We don't need a bunch of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. That's just me. I'm a fan, but this ain't necessary. It's fun. Use one of the other 300-pounders that don't, that may even be faster.
Got a first down.
Two questions on the front row. We'll go to Emily Grace and then Colin.
Coach, when you look at the Missouri game as a whole, you mentioned the resiliency that this team has. Is there a moment that sticks out to you that really defines it, whether it was a conversation you had with the player, or something you overheard, or just what you saw on the field from your team?
I think there's a lot of them. I think the first drive of the game, they go down the field on us, and we respond offensively with a touchdown. And then our defense goes back out there and gets the stop, and then we respond again. No one relaxing, no one flinching, even in that just sequence, 2 offense, 2 defensive series. Then I think the beginning of the second half, when we put the ball on the ground and give them a short field, they score a touchdown. That's a time where all of a sudden we had a 10-point lead, and now it's within a minute really of time on the clock, because it was the end of the half. They got a field goal and then a touchdown. All of a sudden we're in a tie game. And so, what's that look like? And it's coming back, and you can see it. And I know your question's about certain conversations, but I think it's just the look in our guys' eyes. They're in the locker room at halftime. I've referred to this a couple of times. They're looking to solve problems. There's energy. There's excitement to go back out there, continue to execute. There's not a timidness that they have. It's trust and belief in them and their side of the ball, but it's also a trust and belief that the other side's going to get it figured out. At some point, we're going to get it figured out. The game's going to come back to us if we're behind, and we're going to continue to execute and just continue to apply pressure when we're ahead.
Colin?
Hey, Kalen, you already mentioned this a little bit in this opening statement, but you guys are currently tied for the longest home win streak in college football. I'm curious about what separates your home atmosphere, whether it's from past places you've been or, just in your 2 years here. What separates Alabama's home atmosphere?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a great environment here. I think it's the feeling you even have with the walk into the stadium, and there's just the players, we pull up in the buses and you can see everyone's ready to go. We better make sure we hold our end of the bargain too. And so, that goes into the week of preparation and the understanding of what it's even going to feel like when you're practicing on Tuesday. The excitement, that leads into wanting to make sure that we're at the top of our game on Saturday. So, and then you get in the environment and you need, crowd noise to affect the timing of the snap count for the opponent, the momentum and what that brings, when we're making plays. And so just huge to have that energy being at home. I think that would go for a lot of programs, but it's definitely a big deal here for us.
Go to Katie in the middle of the room.
I know you haven't been here for his whole time, but just what have you seen from Keon Keeley and his development and waiting his turn? And then Kane just talked about him having that big moment in the game on Saturday and just kind of the way he's come along.
Yeah, he just has done a good job of just being patient, and but there's just things there's reasons that have kept him from getting on the football field that he just continues to work on, and he's got potential to do some amazing things for us, and working him into different packages this last week. I really liked the growth there. He's been involved in special teams a little bit more in the past few weeks as well. And so just continue to build each week. And as he gets more and more comfortable, I can see that impact being greater and greater. And so I'm really proud of who he's just a great kid in general. That's what makes it fun being on the football field with him. That's what makes you want to pour everything you got into him and help his growth. And then, he's humble and, obviously can make some plays. And so I'm looking to see more and more of him in the weeks ahead.
Go to Jamie on the front right.
Hey, Coach, you said before that every week tells you more about your team. After 3 consecutive ranked wins, what have you learned most about your group heading into Tennessee?
It's been a fight for these guys because it's not just those 3 games. We've had our backs to the wall since week 1, and there's a bye week in there, and so I think they've done a great job of taking whatever it is that is against us or whatever the doubt is that people have for our team, and taking that energy and just pouring it into what matters most, and that's our preparation. And so this is another, there's a rivalry piece to this game, but there's also now just there's a confidence that we've built through some things, but we also got to go back to how did this all start? This all started with us just really being intentional on the work that we're doing, we've referred to just shut up, show up, and do the work. I mean, that's just really what we've kind of honed in on. And in everything we do, we just have an urgency level. And I'm really proud of the guys for not falling off that standard that we had, because that's what human nature is. You get comfortable. We've had 5 wins in a row now, and our conference and the schedule keeps you from, that's one thing that keeps you from falling off the standard, because every week, if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. And so I'm just proud of the way the guys have been resilient in the matters, in the moments that matter most, and just continue to also understand how we've got there. And it's through hard work. It's through a lot of those things I said earlier with the team and the buy-in to each other, not wanting to let our teammates down. And so, again, we got a lot of room for improvement. You've heard from the coordinators and the areas that we've fallen short and the things that we feel we can do better.
All right, we're gonna finish up all the way in the back, right?
Coach, when you play tough week in, week out SEC opponents, physical, does that make you practice limited live reps, change the way you practice?
I think as the season goes along, you have to continue to keep that in mind on where is your team at. How is this taking a toll? Right now, I feel we're always monitoring it, but the pedal is down right now for our guys, and the GPS and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's other ways that we used to not be able to tell where our guys are at, and I think. From a practice habit standpoint, we practice as hard as you could imagine, and there's proof in that. It isn't just something that's just the eyeball test. There's other pieces to it as well. But we also have to understand, with your question, that there are physical games being played on Saturdays, and there are certain guys that it hits different than others. And so, that shows up on Tuesday. It shows up on Wednesday. A lot of people read into reps and things like that. And why is this guy, his rep count down? There's probably a little bit more to that as well that, isn't seen because you're not at practice, and, who's maybe a little bit hobbled and dinged up, and, we're not making all that stuff known all the time, So I'm just really proud of the way these guys, each week, tomorrow morning, I really feel like I know what I'm going to get from our guys. I expect a high level of energy. I expect a high level of just effort, and they've risen to the occasion every week and haven't fallen off. And so that's a credit to them. That's a credit to our coaching staff for finding the ways to really keep them, on edge, keep them motivated, understand the importance of the work that we put in all day, each and every day.
This is a very good season they're having to me. The bounce back, the resiliency, everything is an uphill climb. On the other side of Tennessee, I don't know who it is, but ain't too many chumps on the list, because everybody's fighting and scratching. I'm glad to see they've made the changes to their attitude and their practice habits. I want to be the disturbance in the SEC force. How about you? Do you want to be the disturbance? You want to be? Well, I don't care if they call it dark side. I don't care. I want to be the disturbance in the SEC force. Let's be that.
See that.
So we're going to keep it rolling. We're going to roll. Look at that pathetic feline licking a bowl of milk, just dehydrated, just a shell of himself. Going to keep it rolling, but I like what he was saying. I think we are, they got to monitor it some kind of way. They use all this gadgetry to make sure that the players are not overexerting themselves. So if you see a drop off in the group, you probably got to dial it back, but you got to keep them working.
When you look back on last week,
I
do think there is a lot of fight in our players right now that we have developed, and very proud of our guys in that. If you think about from where we've come a year ago, where we came in the first game of the season, I think there's certainly a lot of fight that our team has, and it's helping us. It's helping us on the road. It's helping us respond to adversity at home. Those are things that we've got to continue to build upon. One thing that I do think we've got to continue to grow is going from, a team that knows how to fight back and finding ways to put teams away. That's something that I thought we left opportunities as a football team on the field Saturday in Columbia, and those are things that we need to continue to work and get corrected. The exciting thing is I think our best football is still ahead of us as a team, as a defense. Certainly, there were some opportunities that we left out on the field. You look at the beginning of the game, truly unacceptable start. Eyes not being in the right place, fundamentally not being locked in, and those are things that we've got to do a better job as players and coaches of preparing to play each snap like it's the most important play of the game.
Every one of them.
From a fundamental standpoint and from an eye progression standpoint. Doing your job over and over again is really the mark of a great defense. And if you look at the landscape of college football right now, there's plenty of mistakes out there. There's plenty of eye violations and poor fundamentals and all those things that you got to be able to, essentially do your job at a very high level. And that's something that I think we're taking steps towards, but certainly we left a number of things out there on the table. Third downs, we're certainly improving as a third down defense. I think some of our pass rush is improving in terms of finding ways to speed up the timing of the quarterback. I do think we were able to affect the quarterback last week, and certainly that helped, in certain pass rushes and pressures. And then, we had 5 opportunities to create takeaways. We only came away with 2 of them. So that's something that we've got to do a better job. Love that we're creating the opportunities, but something that we can be way more consistent and finding ways to take the ball off of people. So when you look at this week, obviously another great rival, great opponent in the SEC. This is a football team that's operating at a pretty high level offensively right now. I think they're number 1 scoring offense in the country. That seems to be a theme of offenses that we've faced recently. And so, I have tremendous respect for this coaching staff. Their players are very disciplined, physical football team, create a lot of explosives downfield. They're committed to it schematically. And they have shown that they can respond to adversity. So we certainly have a great challenge ahead of us, and one that I think we're all excited to get started on our week of preparation.
Well, he talks about the eye discipline and eyesight, and if you can't see it, you can't hit it. And a lot of times, I think the guys coming in from the secondary, they don't run plays. I'm trying to capture some of those things to talk about them on my show, Round the Herd, 7 p.m. Tuesday and Thursday. Please join us. But I'm just trying to, I don't know what they don't see. A lot of times he has them stunting. He has them moving instead of just waiting and attacking the ball. Or maybe he thinks they're going to pass, but it just seems like whether it's the player's fault or the coach's call, they're out of position. And sometimes the linebacker, because, they're giving them the play. That linebacker has to relay the adjustment to the rest of the defense. And sometimes, it takes too long. So if you like this, and a Diego Pavia or one of these quarterbacks is doing their little, fake handoffs and all that stuff, that play action, or I don't know, I'm about to throw the ball, then I do a draw play, and your head is like this at the snap of the ball, you're putting yourself in a pickle. It's like only a couple plays that really makes the defense look awful. Just a couple.
Just start with Nick here in the front right.
Yeah, Demai Jackson got the start, but John Lee, I think, played about twice as many snaps as him. What kind of led to that decision of how those snaps are distributed?
Well, we talk about it all the time, right? A body of work, and you have to answer for the things that we put on tape, and we just felt like what Dijon was doing in the game, and as the game was going on, he was operating at a very efficient level and doing his job at an efficient level. And so, what you do in practice and what you do in games ultimately determines, the amount of playing time moving forward. And so Dijon's certainly in a very good trajectory right now.
Jake, so far left.
The money, let's get together.
When you're building a game plan and the other team has got a really good receiver who's 6'5", like Chris Brazil, is there any inclination to take your 6'4" corner who you were just talking about and shadow him, or does that take you out of your system when you do that?
You can do some of those things for sure, but when they're going fast, it's hard sometimes to just say, hey, we're going to go trade and match corners over all the time. Those are things that, we have done that in the past. Those are things that you can do. Some of it is based upon what type of coverage you're wanting to play. Some of it is situational based. It's not like we have 1-6-4 guy and we have all 5'9" DBs other than that, right? Sabian Brown is 6'2", you know what I mean? We've got guys that are long, athletic, so we do feel like we can challenge, their receiving core. But certainly we'll look at whatever matchups we can have. So you stop by my office afterwards and any other ideas. Thanks.
Go to Alex on the back left.
Damani was obviously a guy you relied a lot on last season. What are you sort of wanting to see more from him, I guess? And what was the message coming out of the game when there is that disparity as far as snaps?
Yeah, building consistency in your game. Damani has done great things here and played good football, but doing it at a very consistent level, play in and play out. And doing your job is ultimately, what we're all measured by. And so, I've told you guys this before, right? You are accountable for what you put on tape. You have to answer for those things. Myself as a coordinator, schematically, the way our guys play, effort, finish, I'm accountable for those things. Our players doing their job, when we put you in position to go make plays, you got to do those things and at a consistent level. And that's something that, not just Damani, a number of our players have to continue to improve if we want to get to where we want to go at the end of the season.
Go to Colin on the left.
Ken, can you walk through the play call on that Dijon Lee, that final interception, just what his responsibility was and kind of what went down on the play?
Yeah, so that was it was a zone style coverage, a vision based coverage that we ran. We tried to mix man and zone against them. We tried to mix some pressure against them as well. Their quarterback did a decent job of getting the ball out. He converted, that 4th and 8 against us, converted another 3rd down against us early when we had brought some pressure. But we felt like if we can pressure him enough, we would speed up his tempo. And we showed a little bit of a look that we might be pressuring there, and then got to a position to where we affected him enough that he tried to force a ball that they had gone to that concept earlier in the game, and he was looking for it, didn't have it, came back to it again, and probably if you're looking at that, he probably forced the throw a little bit. But our guys did a really nice job. Our underneath zone defenders are doing a really good job of taking what we call some of the line of sight line of the quarterback and forcing him to put air on the ball, and that's exactly what happened. We say all the time, tip balls or pick balls, right? Tips and overthrows, got to get those, right? So that's an overthrow, and we came up with it.
Tactical.
Oh, my bad.
Tactical.
You mentioned in the open how you want to be able to put the game away better. That's something you want to work on. Tangibly, what does that look like in practice this week to work on that?
Well, we talked about this as a staff. I don't want to say, it's easy to sit there and look at the game and go, we got to start faster, we got to finish better, but it really comes down to playing each snap with great eye progression, great fundamentals, and just doing that over and over and over again. And for us as a defense, the areas where we have given up plays, it has been, we are not doing our job at a high enough level. Certainly there's been some things schematically every now and then that, hey, all right, I got to have a better answer for that for sure. But most of our issues are things that we can correct and we can fix, and that's a good thing, And so from our perspective, when you look at how we need to finish, we need to do the same high-level job that we have shown throughout games more consistently, And that's going to be football from here to eternity, right? There's never been a perfect defensive game, but we can strive for that, and we can certainly do better than what we're doing right now. And so, again, I think our best football is ahead of us, and it is our job as a coaching staff and players to push ourselves to find a way to just, continually get better in SEC play.
We'll finish up back left for Travion. Can you talk about what you've seen from a young player like Keon Keeley in practice that's led to some of those opportunities in the game? You see Saturday, stepped up and made the big sack. Can you just talk about what you've seen from him in
Yeah,
practice?
I think I know our fans have been waiting on that, waiting on him to, take steps and excited for him. We've been continually working. I've talked about him in the offseason that he's taken steps in the right direction. Certainly he didn't have the role, that probably he would want at the beginning of the season, but he's just continually taking steps in the right direction. And so he has a role for us now. And he took advantage of that role on Saturday. I thought he did a really nice job in some different pass rush scenarios. He's getting better and better at his down in and down out play. Consistency, doing his job at the same high level. And that's, you're going to hear me talk about that probably the rest of the season, right? It's just about doing your job fundamentally at a high level over and over again. And he's doing that more consistently. And so he got rewarded with reps, and then he took advantage of those reps and produced for us on game day. So excited for him, as I am a number of guys within our defense. All right, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
Y'all lead the SEC in fourth down attempts. Just when it's kind of getting in those type plays, what's the communication like between you and Kaylin and the discussions of when you're going to go for it or not?
They're normally, the discussion honestly happens before the play. So we're pretty dialed going in the football game as far as what we think our go rates are in different situations. So typically when I start a series, I'll know what the go is for that. Like on first down, I'll know what the go is. So leading up to that play, there's really not a ton of deliberation unless we've run out of calls. And if I don't feel great about the calls we have left on the sheet, I'll tell Kaylin, hey, my best stuff's gone. We probably need to think about punting here. So it's not too bad. We kind of been through it a few times.
Jump to the right side, let's go to Charlie.
Yeah, Coach, do you feel like you guys left quite a bit of money on the table at Missouri, and what do you kind of do to kind of fix and finish some of those drives?
I'm going to temper my response there. Yes, I think that's an understatement. I think most importantly, the guys know that. We got to the film session on Monday, and when we went through it, some of the plays, there's tough looks that a good defense like Missouri will present some problems for you that the players will have to overcome at times, and they certainly did that at moments in the game. And then there's plays that you feel really good about. It's a look that you practice, you're ready to execute, and for a multitude of reasons, those didn't happen the way we wanted them to at times, and that was frustrating. And so some of the fringe issues where we weren't able to continue drives into the red zone, was obviously really frustrating. So we got to look at coaches as well. It can't just be a player's thing because it's not just a player thing. So what are the plays that we're good at running? What do our players do well? What do we execute well? And We got to make sure that we find the best way to get our guys in those positions and be honest about, the film we're watching. So we certainly did that, and I always tip my cap to the guys because they're very open to that. They listen, they'll take coaching, they'll understand that their coaches are going to fight for the best opportunity for them as well.
Let's go to Chase on the left side.
Yeah, I know one of the plays that really irritated me. I got to go back and look at it, make sure I'm correct. But it was a 3rd and 4. Ty tried to throw a sinker to Ryan Williams. I think he was way down the field. The ball was so far behind him that you can see the that stuff, the turf just kicking up as Ryan slid through, and the ball kind of hit him almost in the back. But Ty had rolled out to the left, and I thought he had enough for a 3rd and 4. But Jam was in front of him. He could have tossed it to Jam, but instead of doing that, running this way, he turns back and tried to. It's a very long and difficult throw. I'm pretty sure they had to cover that when they were in their film session. Because after that, I think Missouri went on to score. You just gotta keep it simple.
Ty seems to be pretty unbothered by blitzing. He's had a lot of success against the blitz. Can you just speak to that quality of his and how uncommon it is in quarterbacks to be able to handle that and burn a defense that's bringing extra men?
Yeah, I think any quarterback, Ty is no exception to that. Certainly, more experience, the better. And certainly Ty has had some pressure-packed moments that he's had to deliver under pressure, and he just keeps getting better at it. And, fortunately for us, we play defense in the spring and in camp that pressures a lot. So I think there's something to that your quarterbacks can get used to that when they have to throw against pressure. And for him, I think, you go back to the Florida State game, which I don't want to, rehash stuff, but just the improvement he's made as a quarterback since then. I thought he made some plays that, in my opinion, the play he makes on 4th and 7 to Latsier, big-time quarterbacks in high-pressure situations make those throws, and he did. And so I just, tip the cap to Ty. He's just been very steady on his preparation, very critical of himself. He knows the plays that he left out there that he can still get better at. But I do think that that's kind of the mark of a good quarterback. I think when you see guys that are good throwers when it's 70 and sunny, and that's all nice, but, making those throws is where it really counts.
Let's go to Nick on the far right side of the field.
Yeah, kind of follow up to that. What are some of the coaching points to him about taking hits and hitting his checkdowns to make sure he doesn't take too big of hits?
Just that.
Throwing the ball away.
Yeah. Ty's gotten way better at it, honestly. There was his scramble for 20 yards. I thought that was the biggest one. Like, he got out in open space, clearly had the first down, and he took an unnecessary kind of hit there that he could have got down right there. But other than that, I thought he's done a good job of being able to lean out of throws in the back end of the pocket when pressure's, collapsing on him. I did think there's a couple he could have got out of his hand. I think that he would probably agree with that. I know that he does. And that's where he's continuing to develop and get better, that even when they're tough. There was one early on, we had a play action pass. He was pressured. He got the ball out of his hand immediately, got it to Jam for like 3 yards, but 3 yards, 2nd and 7 is way better than 2nd and 17. So
right.
Those are the things that I think he's continued to build on.
We got 2 on the front left. We'll start with Emily Grace and then go to Colin.
What's the next step in Michael Carroll's progression as he continues to get game experience?
Yeah, Michael, when the game's moving fast, he's just got to be able to do the same. Honestly, there was one pressure pickup that Michael MA'd on in the game, and super encouraging. We're having a unit meeting. I call Michael out in front of everybody, and, whose fault was this? Who's the MA here? And Michael takes full accountability. It's mine. What was the call? Is it take it right call?
Missed assignment. MA. Just in case.
He had the whole thing down. He knew exactly what should have happened, who the running back. So he was immediately able to articulate what should have happened in the play. And the growth that you can see from a young player like that just proves to me that he's very close to being able to be an every down guy.
Go ahead, Colin.
Aaron,
Love it.
Kind of back to Ty. I'm curious, over the course of, say 6 games here, is there anything specific about his throwing motion or throwing mechanics that you want to see improved over the back half of the year, or what kind of comes to mind with that?
No, I think Ty's big thing, he's been working really hard on throwing on the run. I think that's one of the things that all quarterbacks, I don't know if you have enough practice time to make sure you emphasize that enough. I think accurately throwing on the run, whether it's under duress or design plays, is one of the things that you have to work the most. And I know Ty's worked really hard at that. I think other than that, I think he's a clean thrower. He's worked at taking the pad off of his ball. And I thought he's way better on the back end of his drop. He was a little bit jumpy early in the season where he's too dramatic on the back end. So just seeing the calmness in the back end of his drop and throwing on the run.
Justin in the back left.
You guys leaned on Daniel Hill to pick up some tough runs late in the game, as well as you trusted him enough to throw him the football late in the game. What does that mean about his skill set that you guys can trust him late in the game and pick up tough yards as a bigger back?
Yeah, Daniel has been a guy that unfortunately has been a little bit dinged up through the first part of the year, but is a guy that, I don't know if there's a guy we're more optimistic about out of spring ball than Daniel. So, we're hoping that starts to, show up a little bit more here and obviously, take some of the load off of Jam, but he's a really bright player. I think Daniel is a guy that, I know Daniel's a guy that understands pressure pickups. He's a very good at pass protection. He's got incredibly good hands. A lot of people probably don't know that about Daniel, but he's a good athlete. I mean, he was like a state champion, 300-meter hurdle guy. Like, he's kind of wild, some of the stuff he can do.
Wow.
So we certainly trust him to do all those things.
Go to Alex right in front there.
I want to circle back to the right tackle spot, just how you think Wilkins done there and the balance between him and Michael and what you kind of like to see from that position moving forward.
Well, consistency is the biggest thing for both of them. Different vantage points for both guys, but I think consistency is one of the biggest parts. Obviously, the good offensive line play, there's no plays off. You don't get to be on the backside of a route or something like that. So we just got to have more consistency at that spot. So whether it's Michael having a full grasp of the offense or Wilkin executing at his highest capability, we just got to have better, consistency at that spot.
We have a last question. I think we have a follow-up from Brady.
You spent most of your career on the West Coast or Midwest. It's your first big rivalry game at Alabama. Just what have you been told or understood about this Alabama-Tennessee rivalry?
I'm still figuring all that out. I thought Georgia was a rivalry too, so I thought that was a big game. But I love that in general about the SEC. I think it's awesome. I love lining up every week, playing tough ranked teams. Our guys, our players are up for it. It's one of the best parts about being in Alabama, honestly, is like you think about playing Tennessee at home and what that stadium is going to be like and where our players are going to be at. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Fun.
Yep. Thank you.
There's that F word again. Fun. Well, folks, that's it. We're going to wrap this up right here. They ran it kind of long. I think they kept Coach Grubb out there just as long as they did Coach DeBoer. Everybody's getting asking those Ty Simpson questions as he possibly mounts a run after this Heisman or some kind of however they do that thing. So that's why you're going to see a lot of questions about Ty. What is he working on and that things like that. But I really think, it's going to be a tough sledding. I mean, can you run the table? Yes. Can you go 500 to the end of the season? Sadly, it's possible, but it is possible. But we're just going to take it one game at a time. And tomorrow on the show, break down this Tennessee team and talk about some stats and plays from the Missouri game and going to keep it moving forward because this is Tennessee hate week. We don't like them at all because they're low down, they're dirty, their breath stink, and we want to beat them as bad as we possibly can. So with that, I'm getting out of here, and always remember, roll, Tide, roll.